What is happening, my people? What is happening, roadies? Thank you for tuning into this short clip here at Roadie Free Radio. Very excited. My guest this week is Mr. Chris Leonard, co-host of the fabulous podcast Signal to Noise. He is also the Senior Director of Technical Operations at IMS Technology Services, one of the premier event companies out there. You got to check them out if you're interested. If you want to listen to this full episode with Chris, you can do so by clicking the link in the description below. I would love for you to listen to the whole thing. We got into some juicy nuggets like this one that is coming up right now, where Chris and I talk about his short tenure with Don Henley and running into a little bit of trouble with Don Henley of the Eagles, getting kicked out of rehearsal and then getting a personal phone call from Don. Pretty cool stuff, kind of smoothing things over. So you're not going to want to miss this one. Tune in, check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you have not done so already. I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and leave me a comment in the box below so we can begin chatting and whatnot. If you like this video, if you like these kind of short videos, go ahead and like it. Subscribe to the channel. You can hit the bell if you'd like to be notified when the next one comes out. We've got all sorts of good stuff going on. And don't forget to support our friend Steve Walsh, monitor engineer to many stars. Everything at the Roadie Free Radio merch store. All of those sales, all those proceeds at the end of the month will be going to help support Steve's GoFundMe campaign as he battles colon cancer right now, which is not a pleasant thing, and we are rooting for him. So we'd like you to go ahead and root along with us. So every bit of the sales that I sell, from stickers, buttons, keychains, all that good stuff, magnets, at the end of the month will go towards his GoFundMe campaign. They are picking up speed and raising some money, and it's very cool to see. So do that. Subscribe. Here we go with Chris Leonard talking about Don Henley.
Call yourself a roadie.
One of them that stuck out was Don Henley, who kicked you out of rehearsal. He kicked you out of rehearsals, or you got kicked out of a Don Henley rehearsal, and then he called to thank you personally. Did he call to thank you personally for leaving, or what happened there?
Yeah, so it was with Maryland Sound at the time. We were doing a Don Henley tour, and we were at Third Encore out in LA doing rehearsals. And I was the monitor tech on that tour, and so when we're set up in the rehearsal space, it's just a band in front of you, and so monitors in front of house are literally, it's like the band's playing to you, right? So you're very visible of everything that's happening, and long rehearsal days, and I had to change batteries in some in-ear packs, in between, one of the songs, which felt like we were on a break. So I'm changing some packs, and then I walk over, and Don starts a song. I'm literally walking in front of him to the other side of the stage to change packs, and he stops the band, and he's like, "What are you doing? I'm working here." Call me out, or I'm like, and he's like, "Get out!" Kick me out of the rehearsal studio. I'm like, "Shit, okay." So I go out in the hallway, and they finish out the rest of the day with me not in the room. And he comes over to the monitor engineer, and he's like, "Who's that kid?" Now, mind you, I was young when I was touring, and he's like, "Oh, well, that's Tears for Fears monitor engineer." And Don's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Yeah, he was just trying to change the batteries. Like I told him to. It's okay." Now, the key part there of him telling Don that I was Tears for Fears monitor engineer is because we were opening up the show with Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Don loves Tears for Fears, and we were covering Tears for Fears in the set. So he knew that was going to be the trigger to tell Don, like, "Hey, everything's okay. You can respect this guy." And so we did the tour. Everything was cool. The monitor engineer had to, and him and I never spoke about it. We didn't talk about the situation. It was just more of, I heard about that interaction, that, what he told him, and we were all good from there.
So that later that day, Don never said anything to you. It was just like, and you stayed on it. You didn't get kicked off the whole thing. You were just, that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nothing happened. We did the tour.
You steered clear at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, Don has a presence to him, right? I mean,
yeah.
And so anyways, we do the tour, and it was just a short, little run. at the last night, the monitor engineer, he had some family issues that he had to fly home for, so he wasn't going to be able to do the last show. And I had helped kind of built the console file. I'd been there every night. I'd been listening. I know the cues, and it was an easy fit for me to come in and do that night. And he had told Don, like, hey, Chris is going to mix that night, and cool. So went to the show. The show was pretty, it was flawless. Don looked over me at one point when there's like a specific cue that I had to do, and not to like, hey, you didn't do it. Like it was like a kind of like a wink and nod of like, oh, you did the cue. You did it. Like, okay, cool. Like no one had to ask for anything. Did the show. We're loading out. And his manager comes over and he's like, hey, Don's on the phone. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, shit, because. Typically Don is like a no news is good news, as if news is typically not good news when it comes to Don Henley.
Right.
So I get on the phone and he's like, here, Don wants to talk to you. I say, hey, Chris. He's like, so just want to thank you. I said, appreciate you stepping up and, kind of going above and beyond. Everything went really well. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything you did. Hope we can work together in the future. That it was a very just short, just kind of thank you. Appreciate it. Right. And the production manager is like, so what did Don want? What did he say? He's like, oh, he just wanted to call and thank me. He's like, no, he didn't. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I've been working for this guy for like 20 years and I've never heard thank you. Like the tour couldn't believe it. Don basically had called to thank me, and I was like, I'm telling you the truth. Like that's what. Yeah, so it was a pretty cool beginning and end to working for Don.
You never went back with him again. He's never called you again.
It's like the Costanza thing. It's like, I'm out, I'm done. It's like
Right.
I'll take leave it on the high note. So yeah.
Oh my God, that's pretty cool. I mean, good for him, right?
Yeah,
good for him. He recognized that and he made the call. That's cool. All right, that gives me a little bit more respect for Don. Not that I didn't have any, but I could see that guy could be tough though.
For sure.
I mean,
and it's tough. On one hand, you're like, these people have been here long enough, have done enough of the things that they can kind of like, they know what they want, and you can kind of give it to them. So
Right.
yeah. And obviously, his music is amazing, and it was definitely phenomenal to get to work with him. And a lot of his backing band is the same backing band that plays behind the Eagles. So I mean, you're effectively hearing the Eagles minus 3 people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, that guy, I mean, dude, the level of songmanship and whatnot with that guy and the Eagles obviously is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Crazy. But wait, so you were actually Tears for Fears monitor guy?
Yeah, I did a couple runs with Tears for Fears, yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. How'd that come about? I mean, again, you must have been, how long ago was that?
Let's see. My touring was like 2004 to 2010. So that was my time frame of touring.
So you're like early 30s.
Not even.
Young dude. And you weren't the tech. You were like their guy.
Yeah, I was a monitor engineer. Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. So when I started touring, I was only like 19 when I started touring. So, I mean, I was underage on my first tour. And it's, yeah, I mean, that was one of the things. That's why I try to encourage a lot of people now that, I mean, the age doesn't matter to a degree. You know what I mean? Like it's all in how you hold yourself and where your head's at. And I think the industry has accepted more that younger people are as capable, if not more capable, than the people who've been there 10 plus years. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no. So I was with Maryland Sound that whole time. So I was a full-time person, and like a lot of tours, the tour may have a person or two who is coming with the tour, but the rest of the crew just has to come from the sound company.
Right.
And that one, the owner of Maryland Sound's son, Todd Goldstein, he was the tour manager and also front of house engineer, and he knew that I was kind of an upcoming monitor engineer at the time. And chose to put me on the tour. So maybe traditionally that position probably wouldn't have gone to just like a house sound guy, if you will. But because he knew me and knew Maryland Sound, and so that's how I got the gig. And it was great. I mean, yeah. It was not lost on me that I was basically like born the year that like their first album came out, right? So, so it was definitely intimidating to be out there. And look, I'll be quite frank, I barely had listened to Tears for Fears before touring with them. You know what I mean? Like I maybe knew a hit or two. And then so I started doing my homework and listening, and obviously have since, it's phenomenal, and I love their music, you know. And working for them was amazing. Their level of musicianship and writing is through the roof. You know, and so and they're all in ears, no wedges, and they're very specific on what they want in terms of panning and EQ, and it's great because if you can tell me exactly what you want, I can give it to you. You know, it's when someone can't tell you what they don't want, and then you're trying to guess. So, that level of musicianship and artistry to be around was just phenomenal.
There you go, guys. Don't get on Don Henley's bad side, man. Don't do it. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Check out Chris's full episode using that link below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week in the next short clip.